Hey everybody, welcome to Performance Anxiety. I'm your host Mark, and before we get started, I want to take a second and thank our sponsors AKG for sending us their Podcasters Essentials kit. It's got an amazing Lyra mic and the most incredibly comfortable headphones I've ever used. Thank you so much for sending them. I'm using them every week. I know I've mentioned that when I started thinking about doing this podcast, I had a top 10 list of guests I wanted to have. Some were obvious and others less so. This one is one of the top 3. Richard Black is the singer for the band Shark Island. They played in the LA area beginning in the late 70s through to the early 90s. They released one major label album and a handful of songs on soundtrack, but that was it. Richard fronted the short-lived hard rock supergroup Contraband and then left music completely. But after finding a new passion in metal sculpture, Shark Island has returned with 2 studio albums and 1 live release. Richard's very candid with me, and we spent a long time discussing his careers, setting bars low to avoid disappointment, watching grunge change the musical landscape, particularly in LA, demoing songs with Skid Row as his backing band, and recording in 432 Hz instead of 440. Check out their music at sharkislandmusic.com and follow their socials. Follow us at Performance ANX on Twitter and Instagram. Please rate and review. It does mean a lot. And you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. There's no commitment. Merch designed by Mark Dancy of Soundgarden's Bad Motor Finger fame is at performanceanx.threadless.com. And let's dive right into Richard Black of Shark Island on Performance Anxiety, part of the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Richard Black, and you're listening to Performance Anxiety. I keep putting it the other way. Let's do it again. You can edit that out. Hey, this is Richard Black from Shark Island. You're listening to Performance Anxiety.
All right.
So how you doing?
Good, all good. Right. How about yourself?
Good. It was an okay. It was not a bad day. Not a bad day. I mean,
That's good.
I had a kind of a downmatic week for the last couple.
Oh, really?
Last week and a half, I would say, actually. So it was better. It was nice. It was good.
Oh,
Can't
good.
complain.
Good.
Even though I love to complain, because I've become quite the pessimist in my old age.
You and me both. We'll get along just great.
Hold on. Skype is asking for something else again. Okay. Skype is asking for something else.
Of course.
They want.
Never satisfied.
They want something. What is? Can you please send a picture of your backside?
Yeah.
We need it for our files.
Yes.
Okay, it's fine.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? That wouldn't surprise me at all.
It's fine. I mean, I don't mean to sound macabre or anything, but it's just I had all my life, not all my life, but like from I would say 20 on, it was drilled in my head, this positive thinking and positive attitude, and everything has to be happy, and everything is just and affirmations and everything, and
yeah,
and I'm even an ex graduate and an ex Scientologist, and
oh wow,
all this all these applied philosophies just kind of drilled into your head, and I got to a point that I just went, you know what, screw this, because I realized that the biggest problem in life for me actually is essentially disappointment.
Oh, really?
And yeah, disappointment is just disappointment, not only in myself, but in other people, and that goes to, and that also speaks to like betrayal, is in that category.
Yep.
And disappointment. And those things are the things that bothered me the most. It wasn't so much even what I was disappointed about, but it was the activation of trust and the investment of trust put into either a relationship or, and I don't mean just with women, but with people, just relationships, and then have something just, really kind of, wow, you really fooled me.
Yep.
I thought we were on the up and up, and I was always kind of a, wink and a handshake kind of guy. We just, you make a deal with somebody, and your word is your whole thing. That's just who you are.
Exactly.
And then when it fell apart, it was just such a letdown. It was like, and again, it wasn't the subject, it was just the letdown. So I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to expect anything else. I'm not going to have any expectations anymore. And that goes against the grain, but at least I can't get disappointed. And then on the days that I'm wrong, well, that's a great day.
Set the bar low enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You just do it the opposite. You don't say anything, and then you get something. You go, "That's awesome." And then the rest of the time is just kind of an attitude of your choosing, and you're just going to go with it. You know what? I'm laughing because I understand. So I know exactly what you mean. Well, the fact that you're laughing tells me that you understand, because humor if humor doesn't contain an element of truth, it's not funny.
Exactly.
Things are only funny. They're only funny if they're true.
Yep.
So I think you get it as well.
Yep.
And it's fine. It's not a bad way to live, really. It's not that bad.
No, I've learned to do it.
No. Well, good. Then we're birds of a feather.
Yeah, I've turned 48 this year, and I'd say a lot of those years have been in that vein. So I got screwed early and never forgot it. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm a 62.
Yeah.
And but you know what they say, 60 is the new 80.
Yeah.
So that's so.
It's funny. Mentally, I know what you're saying. Mentally, I feel like I'm, I don't know, still in my 20s. I still laugh at fart jokes, but.
Oh yeah. Well, you'll always feel like you're 20. I still feel like I'm in many regards. I feel like I'm 22 also, but I just,
I blame my kids.
That'll never go away.
I blame my kids. Yeah. They have just destroyed me. They're good kids, but I've got three. I've got a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, and an 18-year-old.
Oh my God!
Yeah, wow. That took a toll. They're great though. I love them to death. I got my oldest daughter is going to nursing school. She's a senior this year. She's graduating. She already has her CNA certificate. So she's got just starting a part-time job next week in the hospital. So, she's a lot more put together than I ever was. So
well, that's pretty nice. I mean, what was your formative years when you're in music for you, age-wise, or when were you like most into it? When was it most? For me,
it started. I would say it started around 10 to 12. I don't remember exactly what year it was, because I just remember it was probably about 10 or so, because in the same year my mom had bought Led Zeppelin's 4 because she loved Stairway to Heaven, and then she listened to it a couple times and got tired of it and gave me the LP. And before that, like, my LP collection consisted of like Alvin and the Chipmunks and a Mickey Mouse album. So, and then that same year,
so you went straight to Zeppelin, right?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Pretty hairy.
And
it's like going straight to heroin.
Well, and then that same year we were out, and so this was probably 84. So it's probably, like, depending on what part of the year, I was like 10 or 11. She gave me a little bit of money. We went out shopping, and she said, "Go buy a cassette. Go pick an album out." So I came back, and I'm like, I had 2, and I don't know which one to get, Mom. Which one should I get? And in one hand was Quiet Riot, Metal Health, and the other was Van Halen, 1984. Oh, and she said, "Well, I don't like the cover to the Quiet Riot one, so get the one with the angel, the cherub smoking a cigarette. That was acceptable."
Wise choice.
So yeah, so
Your mother was very wise.
yeah.
Uh,
If it was up to my dad, it would have been some bluegrass band. So, which I love
oh,
bluegrass.
bluegrass!
But,
How interesting that you should just say that.
oh, really?
Because I was and I was just kind of thinking about this, this chat we're having today.
Yeah.
And I knew that the question was going to come up about, what was the background, what was the influences, those kind of like, and I was, and one thing that people are usually surprised by is that Spencer, which is the guitar player that I wrote most of my songwriting career with, right?
Yeah.
He Law of the Order and all that, and his background was bluegrass.
Really?
As opposed to like blues. Most of the guitarists that were in this genre of music were blues guitarists. Everybody was doing blues.
Yeah.
And he had a background in bluegrass.
Wow.
And people are always really surprised by that. But I think because of it, we had a kind of a different sound because of it. I mean, you can't escape those influences in your life,
Not at all.
And so it's funny that word came up. It came up probably about, no kidding, maybe 5 minutes before we started talking. I just went, oh yeah, it was just a bluegrass thing, and all of a sudden you're saying it. So isn't that something?
That's crazy.
You know what?
I love bluegrass too.
It is crazy. Yeah, it's interesting, but it is a coincidence at the same time. But of course, I don't really believe in coincidences, so there's something about that.
Yeah,
I don't know why that happened, but I don't.
One of the things I was going to tell you, I always thought Spencer was truly one of the most underappreciated guitarists ever. I love his sound. His playing is flawless, and speak to him. Just let him know there's at least one guy who absolutely loves everything he's done. The Shark Island, the River Dogs, all that. It's just great stuff.
Right. Yeah, he's a very extraordinary guitar player and an extraordinary man. He, we spent, our formidable years together, and it was very tumultuous, in our lives, and I feel very honored to have been able to play with him, and I was really fortunate to play and have associates with a lot of really great guitarists, and in my mind, he was, probably the best. I mean, but I guess similar in the same way, your first love is always the one you always kind of compare everything else to. So yep. I suppose there's an element to that there as well. But, All
right, so we know a little bit how Spencer got, his background in music. What is yours? What got you into music in the first place?
I have an older sister. She's about 4 years older, 5 years older than me. And she was really kind of she was like a stone hippie, right? So she had a really pretty hot album collection.
Yeah.
So it was great. Yeah. And she had, everything that was, all the must-have albums, everything from obviously the Beatles and Cream and Rolling Stones and everything that was just Joni Mitchell and the Doors, and I don't need to go on and recite it. I think you got the idea. So so I had access to a lot of these things, and she would go to school, and I'd be home, and I'd kind of have some solitude, and I would just start to play these things, and I'd really get into it, and I was really into just deep listening. I would take a song, and if I liked it, I would play it again and again and again and again and again, just wear it out, until I just learned every little nuance in it. And it was, I found it very intriguing to hear new things that I haven't heard on the first 20 listens, so I had that kind of access, I was exposed to it like that. As far as the playing goes, once your mind is the mind is a terrible thing. It's like everything. It's like a computer. It goes in and then it comes out again somehow.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, okay, I would write some things. And I found I was very interested in lyrics in general. And being a hippie, there was always, poetry books, and there was a lot of reading. There was a lot of reading in my house, and there was, a lot of books. We had a room that we called the library. It was like a study, I guess.
Oh, wow.
It had a desk in it, and it had 2 walls full of books from floor to ceiling, and they were everything, just all kinds of books.
That's
from
awesome.
the classics to really racy things, to dark philosophy, to
that's wild.
To Nietzsche and Freud and Jung and all these ones I can't remember, from philosophers from Scandinavia, and all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so there was just a lot of books. There was a lot of written stuff around poetry. We had like 3 sets of separate encyclopedias, even, if you remember what those are. We
Yep.
had huge sets of them. And we had, the junior version, which had a lot of drawings and pictures in it. And then the more adult stuff, that was like the Google of the time, if you needed to look something up.
Oh yeah.
So we had all that, and then I didn't, it took, the obligatory guitar lessons and and violin lessons and
really?
and piano lessons, that kind of stuff. And none of them I found them pretty difficult. It was like difficult to really. I wasn't good enough at it, or at any of them, to really latch on to it. But I did have I had a knack for writing stories, and I've kept journals for years. I got stacks and stacks of journals.
Oh my gosh.
That I just kept from, I can't even remember back when. And for my whole life is in the journals. I still have them. I still, every time I move, I haul them around in boxes. It's all marked, journals from 1978 to 1982, and then from 82 to 89.
Gosh.
Yeah, lots of stuff written, tons of stuff. And so when I got to high school, I went to a private high school. And it was an all-boys school. Actually.
Oh boy! No pun intended.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I was kind of bitter about everybody's. That was, high school is like the coming of age. And I'm just like. But thinking back on it, and didn't take till now to realize it, but I realized shortly thereafter that it was actually kind of a great thing, because I didn't have to be really address that whole hormone stuff, It was just, I didn't have to, you could wear, the same pants you wore yesterday, it doesn't matter, what I mean?
Uniform.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have uniforms, but you could, you didn't have to, whatever. So, and we had this one, it was kind of educationally progressive. My father was really against public schools, as I am really right now, but that's another story altogether.
Yeah.
But we had, the school had this program that at winter break started like December 15th, and you did not go back to school till February 1st.
Oh, wow.
So you had like a month and a half off.
Dang.
Right in the middle of the year. But there was a caveat to it. It was a big but. You couldn't just, do whatever. You had to create a project that took 1 month to do.
Oh, wow.
And it could be anything from getting a job as an intern in a field of your choice.
Okay.
And then at the end of that, you write a report on it, on your whole experience.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was that. So that kind of played into your final grade and stuff. Well, the first year, I mean, at first I didn't know what to do, so I ended up being like I was a teacher's aide at a Montessori school, which is like a first grade. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing, but I had to do something because I mean, if you didn't have anything, you had to report to school, to the class every day, and you in the library or do something that they told you. But if you had something set up, so anyway, I'm going too much into a rabbit hole. But the one year that really changed is I said, well, you know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to make a band.
Oh wow!
So I got 3 other guys into the idea,
okay,
and we formed a band, and we play, learned to play a couple songs, drums, bass, guitar, and then we tried to write something even, and we practiced every day during this. This whole month. Yeah, it was very cool when you think about it. I mean,
yeah, it's a great
can you
project.
Imagine how great it would be. It was great. It would be great today. I mean,
yeah,
there's so many, I hate using the word youngsters, but with youngsters, they have no idea. They have no idea what to do. They don't even know how to, know how to do anything. They can't even put a light bulb in as far as I can tell. They can't do anything.
Yep.
And well, anyway, so I did that, and then at the end, the final day, one of the teachers that you actually signed up with, to give your your project to, they would come and observe on the last week or the last couple of days. Okay. Just to see what have you done, and that's right before your report that you have to write. And that's it. And I did it, and I said, this is awesome. And I realized how powerful it was, because it was like going to a party and then getting graded for it. It was nothing. I said, God, they bought it. These guys, the teacher bought it, they bought it. Look, and I'm here, we're playing, rock and roll and making noise, literally making noise, and we got away with it. We got an A on it. Yeah. It's like, so that kind of got me really into it. I thought this is really neat. And then soon thereafter, I realized how much kind of power there was in it. Because there is kind of a power in it, and I'm not trying to say that that's the only reason I did, but I mean, it was largely. Yeah. So if you go back to that whole hormone thing, it had power over women as well. So you were in a band or you were a skateboarder, and the band is like much hotter commodity. And all of a sudden, the girls were a lot more interested in that. They're like, wow, really? Yeah. Man, oh my God, really? Wow, look at that. And they just hang out and just listen. And you're just going, gosh. And all of a sudden, and to yourself, you're always going, oh my God, they're buying it. Yeah.
The teachers, the girls, everybody.
The teachers, they're buying it. Look at this. And that kind of got me into it. Next thing I know, we threw, a party, and we used to, would learn a bunch of songs, Deep Purple and David Bowie and Rolling Stones, learn a bunch of cover songs, and then you'd find somebody with a yard, and you, preferably if the parents were gone for the weekend, and you advertise the big backyard party, and you charge to get in, and and all of a sudden you play, and you buy, and you get yourself a keg of beer, and then all of a sudden at the end of the day, after you've had a great time, you got a heap of money, literally a heap of money. Yeah. It looks like you feel like, gosh, like being a stripper.
Why doesn't everybody do this?
Why does everybody do this? I mean, no, and nobody did. And I just went, this is great. And it got more and more intense, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the area that I did all this in was in like Pasadena area. It's in Southern California. And it was the same, and there was other people doing it too. One of the big people that were doing it was Van Halen. You mentioned Van Halen earlier. Yeah. They were playing they've playing not only backyards, they were playing women's club halls and the
High schools.
Veterans of foreign war. Yeah. Veterans of foreign war. High school. They actually played in my high school dance.
Here's the thing. I don't know if you probably saw this. There's I think it's almost like a soundboard quality copy of them playing Pasadena High School that's been circulating over the past year or so.
I haven't seen it, but
it might be one of those shows.
I have seen Van Halen, I'm sure 200 times, maybe 300 times.
Wow.
I've seen them everywhere, all the time, in the weirdest places, and at the park, up on top of the reservoir, at a high school, in a bar, in a laundromat, whatever.
Wow.
We'd play everywhere. I mean, just the laundromat tour, so we'd be playing everywhere. Just that's what you did. But we didn't have there was people that wanted to do certain things in their lives, and they would always have a day job, and they'd flip burgers and then they go do that. But we didn't do that. We just played. We played, and it wasn't long after we were we had it figured out that we could actually. We said, okay, we're going to play 6 days a week. We'll play 4 shows a night, 6 days a week. Mondays we'll play in San Gabriel. Tuesdays we'll play in Pasadena proper. Wednesdays we'll play in Temple City. Thursdays we'll play in Huntington Beach. And Friday and Saturday we played in Hollywood at Gazzari's. We played there for 2.5 years, every Friday and Saturday night. Every Friday and Saturday night. Think about that.
From high school to playing Gazzari's, that was all Sharks. Was that basically the same band?
Yeah, basically, it's basically the same band. The biggest difference between Sharks and Shark Island was the Sharks was largely a cover band.
Okay.
We would do other material, and then when we played Shark Island, we played mostly originals with a couple special cover songs that we really liked. Yeah. Because when you're a rock band and you do a cover song, you're not gonna if you're gonna do You Drop the Bomb on Me by the Gap Band, you don't want it to sound like, you certainly don't want it to sound like them.
Right.
You got to make it sound like you wrote it.
Exactly.
Or if you're gonna do Fleetwood Mac, it's got to. That's why I used to joke. Here's a song we wrote by Fleetwood Mac. But you kind of make it your own. You kind of make it your own. And some of the songs really took to that. They were very, very good. We had like on Law of the Order, we had a version of Fleetwood Mac, The Chain. We actually put it on our album. It's an awesome version.
I love it.
It's powerful. It's like crazy. I mean, and we didn't learn that just to put it on the album. No, we knew that was in our repertoire. We knew how to do that. We knew how to rock it.
Wow.
We knew all those little trick parts. We knew how to end it. We knew how to, really, really command it.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
So that's the biggest difference. And so I think when we got, I think to Gazzari's, after the third time we went to Shark Island and we were kind of doing our originals. Yeah. Why? Because the way we looked at it, it's okay, we're in the music capital of the world at the time. Mm-hmm. And if we have any expectations to do this as a career, that we need to be doing our original material, because that's what we're not going to make an album full of covers. So we have to lean. But that was a short period of time. We were Sharks for, it's probably 79, probably 3 years, maybe 4 years at the tops. Right. And then three and a half years. Then we switched to Shark Island and we started really doing a lot of our own material.
Well, you guys
and then
self-released a full-length album as Sharks, which
that's right.
That's a lot.
That's right.
It's a lot different from releasing an album now, because now you've got Bandcamp and crowdfunding and all that. You guys didn't have that back in '82. Did you guys?
Oh yeah, we didn't have anything.
Yeah. How was that? How did you guys do that? What was that experience like?
Well, I had this, the way I approached it at the time, the whole music thing is, I realized that there was, not only were there people, that were keen on becoming, let's say, famous guitar players, bass players, drummers, blah, 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 and being in a band, right?
Right.
But not only that, but there was always people that wanted to make a career of being roadies, to being a light person, for light effects.
Yep.
Someone who wanted to do soundboard mixing. There were all these people there was people that wanted to be music managers. They wanted to manage a rock band. They wanted to be, there was other people that wanted to be producers. So there were all kinds of people that wanted to be involved in the music business. So all you needed to do is you just had to, find out who they are and then explain to them, look, this is probably your best chance of doing it, because you could learn your whole craft here. And at the same time, we get a benefit, you get a benefit, we all benefit. I mean, because let's say if you wanted to be a sound engineer, right? You would either have to get a job at a gig, and then, there's not much sound engineering to do if you're at the same gig every single day.
Yeah.
There's not much to do, and the board just sits there and gets spider webs on it, and you change a couple little things here and there. But if you're setting up and tearing down, it's all new. So there was a guy that wanted to be a manager, and we met him, and he was kind of a slick guy, and he he knew what he wanted, and his motivation and his drive was just as intense as ours, but just in a completely different field.
Right.
So we would be able to help each other out. That's how we did it. So then there was a recording studio that was just starting out, and they were trying to get some clients in and get some, they were okay at what they were doing. They were doing church music and talks and just weird, obscure things, but they haven't really done a rock band, or anything else. So now here's their chance to record a rock band that, we knew the parts.
Yeah.
We could start and stop, and we can do it again. It sounds almost the same every time, so and so and everybody at the time, it was to get an album, to make a vinyl at that time was a very special thing. I don't know if there's an equivalent today about something that is so special, or it's just my jadedness speaking. But I mean, I don't know what it was. Oh wow, we're on Spotify and we got 20,000 downloads. I mean, it's like, womp, 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 womp. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, there's nothing. You can't touch any of that stuff. You can't.
Exactly. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's not even. There's actually. It's questionable how much truth there is there. I mean, you don't really know. I mean, look at for instance, let's look at YouTube to take an example.
Okay.
I hate to pick out one particular thing, but this is very, very common. So if you look on YouTube and you look, you see something you like, I don't care what it is. Let's say it's how to fix a flat tire on your motorcycle, whatever,
okay.
And you can see how many views there are. You can see how many people actually watched this.
Right.
There's a tally on there.
Yes.
Well, those tallies are for sale, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
People don't realize that. People don't realize what those tallies are. You can buy, if you got the budget, you can buy 100,000.
Yeah.
You can't buy them all in one chunk, but you could buy 100,000. If you had enough money, you can buy 1 million.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, same with all the other social media stuff.
Exactly. So it doesn't really mean anything. It's like right now, the Nobel Prize doesn't mean anything anymore.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
If certain people can get them for doing nothing, then it's worthless.
Yeah.
And if you get a trophy for coming in second, third place, or coming in last, it doesn't mean anything. First doesn't mean anything anymore.
No.
Nothing means anything.
Exactly. Well, the thing that I really liked about that album was Alter Ego, in case anybody's keeping track here. In certain songs, I can kind of hear the beginnings of the Shark Island sound, particularly in the song Whirlpool. That to me sounded like it could have been done around the same time as Law of the Order.
Yes, it could have been. And, and if it was recorded by us when we had even more experience, it may even sound more,
Yeah.
By the time we were doing Law of the Order, don't forget, we had been playing for, at that point, 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because and 79 was about when you started, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So think about it. You're doing 4 shows a night, and you're playing 5-6 nights a week.
Jeez.
I mean, literally, you were there. We were on stage constantly. I had shoes that I wore only on stage.
Oh, really?
They were like dance shoes. They weren't like, I wasn't wearing cowboy boots on there, but I was like, because I was quite active.
Yeah.
And I used to be a trained dancer too. So I was just I did a lot of stuff from,
oh, really?
I used to go to dance class and do.
What kind of dance?
Yeah, I was modern dance,
Wow.
and some ballet, which is kind of in there, and it's unescapable. But it's kind of wacky, and it kind of raises an eyebrow. But there's some really nice women there, and I liked it. I liked the movement. I liked the music. I just liked that it was a very nice expression. I wasn't that much into sports. I didn't like sports very much because I wasn't. I mean, I mean team sports mostly. I don't really care for. I don't mind tennis, golf, track and field. I like those things, things that are just like, there's a person here and he's doing something, and he's trying to be extraordinary while doing it. It's not like a team people that have to rely on someone else to do so. So I was never into that. Yeah, exactly. They can let you down. They disappoint.
Exactly.
They're inherently evil. So anyway, I was back to the time on stage. I guess that's what this is all pointing to. Is that I have a pair of shoes, and they were kind of dance shoes, and I wore them only on stage.
Oh,
and
wow.
I would wear them out. I was wearing them out.
Jeez.
I'd have to buy a new pair probably every year and a half.
Jeez.
It's just a brand new pair, and they weren't cheap. They were expensive, but that just gives you an idea of how many miles I walked on stage, or how many times I moved on stage. So it was a lot of time. It was very, very comfortable. Look at your program, anxiety, what is it?
Performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety. And I'm thinking about it, I go, well, that's something that I really can't relate to, because I don't have any. I have zero performance anxiety. As a matter of fact, I have more anxiety off stage than I do on stage.
Oh, wow.
Well, there's a reason for that. And if you look, it's a logical reason, is that if you even examine your own life and you think about what are the times when I have most anxiety? And that is when you're not sure what's going to happen, or how something's going to turn out, either because you're not prepared, or you're not prepared enough, or you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're not in control.
Any number of reasons. Yeah, you're not in control. But if you know exactly what's going to happen, and it's just because it's rote, and you've been doing it for so long, and you pretty much know, and you even know to a point that you can You already have. We had built-in mechanisms for mistakes.
Oh, really?
You know, if the guitar player, let's say the guitar broke a string or the amp went out or something happened, there was a catastrophe and there's no guitar.
Right.
Well, we already have something worked out that we can go into and pretty much fill 5-10 minutes if we need to with something else and nobody would even know.
Oh, wow.
And the same goes for the drum. Let's say the drum broke a snare, you know, and if we don't have a spare handy right there, then we need to, you know, he has to put a new head on, you know.
Yeah.
So we need to have something we can do with no drums.
Wow.
And we need to be able to fill 5 minutes of time. We're not going to sit there and look at each other and go, "Whoa, what are we going to do?"
Yeah.
You
so,
know?
how's the weather?
So I even had the mistakes and the problems worked out. So I had no concerns about anything, you know. And it always happens. It's always something's going to happen. You play that much, that many hours, you just got everything has happened with us. Everything. It's one of my really a funny story with something horrible happening. We were in, I guess it was in '89. We were recording a live Westwood One recording live show from the Whiskey A Go Go.
Yes.
And it was going out to 1.5 million people simulcast.
Oh, wow.
Simulcast. And it was getting recorded on a multi-track in a big truck outside the club.
Okay.
You know, big, you know, thousands of wires running outside the door into a truck, into a big mobile recording unit, big thing. The sound check, it took like 9 hours.
Oh, geez.
To do a sound check. Yeah, it took the entire freaking day. There the entire day.
Wow.
You know, just everything, because you had a sound for the club, and then you had a sound for the recording truck, right?
Okay.
So you had to have a good recording on. So anyway, we got, you know, got everything down, and that was the closest when I was a little bit anxiety, because there was so many moving parts. I was going, gosh, I didn't really train for any of this, and you know, I don't have any reason to think I'm going to screw up personally, but there's just so many moving parts, right?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, the show time finally starts, and we did our opener, right? And we did a song that's called "Make a Move." As a matter of fact, it happens that the first time that song was ever recorded on a studio recording was on this last one on Bloodline. That happens to be the first time. So anyway, this live album was called Bastille Day, Alive at the Whiskey.
Yes.
And so here we go. We start the song, and the song starts, and we're just going, wow. And I'm going, man, this is awesome. This is thick. Man, this is great. It was picture perfect. We sounded like metal gods, just like, oh my God. Everything I've been doing up till this point has accumulated to this moment. Here we are. Yeah. You know, the place is packed. It's jumping. You can feel the energy. And here comes the part, and I'm okay. We're gonna ready for the opening vocal part, and the mic's not working.
Oh no!
And I'm going, fuck. You know, and everybody's looking, and we're rolling, we're going. It's just like really great. So again, in our normal thing that we know that when things go wrong, we know what to do. So I just had to take a glance at Spencer, and he goes, and he knew exactly what I was saying, and that is, okay, we're gonna loop this part here. My mic's not working.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's not like we could stop and fix it and start again.
Right. Yeah.
No, this had to be fixed. This had to happen right now. So, you know, the crew was on the side, you know, they were on squatting on the side, you know, and they figured it out. And one guy got on the case. So we ended up having to extend it for about, good Lord, it was, you know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, which is an enormous amount of time, you know, to do. So I filled it with like a little bit more, you know, just some fluff to get people going, thinking, okay, I'm gonna do something here, and I'm gonna give these people in the sound department a chance to figure this out, you know, and I'm gonna go do, you know, the soft shoe over here. Yeah. And anyway, so I get back to the part, and no one knows anything. The crowd has no idea. Wow. This is all looks like it's just seamless And all of a sudden I went, dude, and I went, okay, we got juice. If you heard that album, you can actually hear me say that. We got juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got juice. And then we went boom. And that's why that happened. That's what that was.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
And then from that moment on, it went without a hitch. And it was like the album arguably was in some ways better than the studio recording of Law of the Order.
So I want to ask you a question. Keep going, but I do have a question for you about a couple of things, but finish that up because this is really cool.
I wonder if this will even answer it. But we were with Epic at the time, and I knew that there was, there was a lot of bands being signed, and we hadn't got signed yet, right? But we did. Now we were signed at that point. We were on Epic.
Yes.
But it's still at the same time we haven't released our album yet at that point. So Law of the Order wasn't out yet.
Right.
So we would record this, and it was my intention. My intention was to have a debut album for a band live.
That is the question I was going to ask.
Yeah, I thought it was. And that was my intention. That's what I wanted to do. I said, now that is different. That is unique. That is just bold. That's bold. That just speaks tons right there. Volumes.
Yes, exactly.
And ballsy too. Ballsy. And they're just like, they looked at me like I was just like an alien from outer space. Like I just came in, hanging on ropes. Like, what the hell what?
What's wrong with you?
It's a debut album. Nobody knows. What does it care? I go, it doesn't matter. I go, listen to this. This is awesome.
Yeah, and it is.
There's nothing wrong with this. This is what's going to make us. This is going to change us. This will put us in a different thing. We can put Law of the Order out afterwards, studio if you want. But that's what happens in the music business. You have the music business. The music is a small word. The business is a huge word.
Right.
And when there's dollars and cents, and there's people calling the shots, and there's people, they're investing, and they're afraid. They're afraid of making a decision, because if they make the wrong decisions, they lose their job. You're only as good as your last project. And the A&R people, for instance, it was a very, very small community in LA. I would say, I don't know, 12, 15 people.
Wow.
And that's distributed of all the majors. That would be on Atlantic, Epic, and A&M, Warner Brothers. Everybody knew everybody. It was just like a little clique in high school. It was like the football team clique.
Wow.
I mentioned that to you last time we spoke. It's what it was like. Everybody was everybody's peeking over the other. Well, what do you think?
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah.
And they're afraid. They're afraid to even commit and go, yes.
Yeah.
Screw you. You know what I mean? And those are the ones. Those were the real movers and shakers. Are the ones that made the huge decisions.
Yeah.
And the ballsy decisions. The more risky your decision, and this is true in life. The more risk your decision carries, the more potential there is for just greatness. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
The more the bigger the risk, the
bigger the reward.
And so you could, the bigger the reward. And you couldn't get certain people to do something. They were fixated on their parts. I knew people that were working as interns to A&R people who worked for free, like 10 hours a day, 5 days a week for nothing for years.
Oh my God.
Why is that, you ask? Why would anybody do something so stupid? Well, they came from a family that can afford it, and that was the equivalent of going to school, or university, I guess, but you're not making anything, but you still got to do all the work,
Yeah.
And but you kind of wonder, why would somebody do that? Well, the reason is that so many people want to do that. Look at the bands. At the time, there was a time I remember reading in Hollywood Reporter or somewhere at the time that during this time period, this was late 80s, early 90s, there was 10,000 bands in the greater LA area.
Whoa.
10,000.
Oh.
Yeah. Whoa.
Jeez.
Whoa. Right. So now, I mean, okay, in fairness, some of them were doing, mariachi bands but at weddings, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm sure they had an original repertoire as well.
Yeah.
But they all wanted to be professional musicians, all of them. So you look at that, and then you look at how many openings are there, how many slots are there available. So in this genre, maybe one a year, maybe two.
Wow.
A year. So if you were one of those 10,000 bands and you didn't make the first 4 drafts, you're pretty much getting old.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much hard to hold a band, hard to hold a band together at that time. And I was feeling it too. At this point, I was getting, I thought, I was probably 32 or something at that. I mean, I was starting to go, I'm getting old, man.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison died when he was 28, and Janis Joplin did too. And so did Bon Scott. 28, so I've already gone beyond my life expectancy.
Yeah.
And I started worry. Even then, it was in thinking back, it was completely absurd, because I'm still doing this nonsense.
Yeah.
From time to time. But that's what. So same thing with the A&R people. They have these things they want to do. They want to be the next big, record exec that was responsible for signing the band that sold 20 million records.
Right. Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, there you go. So
how did you guys choose to change the name from Sharks to Shark Island? Was there anything specific behind adding the island to the name?
Nothing. I've been asked that a lot of times. I mean, I was responsible for it, but at the time, I wanted to kind of, we were doing cover songs, so I wanted to have a little bit of punctuation, and I wanted to make it kind of bigger, and our following already at that point, and following is beyond even the technical side. We already had all our sound guys, and we had crews. I mean, bands didn't even have crews. We were unsigned and we had crews, moving our crap around, we have to, that kind of thing. Right. So, wow. So I kind of looked at it and said, I remember there's a little island off of LA called Catalina Island. And I remember going there, and this wasn't the only place that this phenomenon occurred, but I always noticed that people on these little coastal towns and these little island towns, they were always very much like they were a clique also. They were a little like they were the locals. They were the locals. And if you go there, and especially here on the West Coast, I mean, you could, at the time, you weren't allowed to go surfing in certain areas if you weren't the local,
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't call the cops on you, but you'd know very quickly if you're out there wading in the water that you're not welcome, and they're wondering who the fuck you're doing, and they'll test you, and and this kind of stuff. So I kind of liked that thing, that island kind of vibe. These people that were like a vibe, and I said, well, we could be like Shark Island, We're like a crew. Yeah, we got like a crew here, and even till this day, we're kind of the underdogs, really, in a lot of ways. But we have a very, very strong cult following, very strong. People that like the band really like us. Oh yeah, really very much. And that doesn't necessarily reflect in multi-million record sales, but we did pretty good. I did pretty good for yourself. You don't have to you don't have to make $5 million a year to be successful. I mean, you could be successful if you make anything over, 60 grand a year,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm either going to go work for the water company for 50 grand, or I'm going to be in a rock band for 60. I'll take the latter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, so there's different degrees of success. And while I always had, big glorious plans of just humongous things, it didn't happen exactly like that. I mean, I had moments, but I don't think I had the mentality of that to be able to sustain it. I mean, I had enough at some point that I could have bought a house for cash.
Oh,
right?
wow. Nice.
But it's just, but if you don't have the mentality, it's like, it doesn't work. Because if my friend goes, "Oh man, my car broke down," okay, here's a car.
Yeah.
Or then my girlfriend, I bought her a car for Christmas. I bought her a Corvette for Christmas. Just the stupid stuff. I'm not trying to brag. I'm trying to be stupid. But I'm trying to show how stupid I was. Yeah. It reminds me of, there was this, remember the Simpsons? Remember the Simpsons, that cartoon?
Yeah.
There was this one episode. This illustrates it exactly right. There's this one character on it. I don't forget what his name was. Was some older guy, and he won the lottery on the show, and he's like, "Oh man, I got this big guy." He goes, "Oh my God, what are you gonna do?" "I'm gonna buy a solid gold house." And he goes, "Yeah, solid gold house." Everybody's like, "Yeah." So the next scene, they're driving down and they see this guy in front of this house, and he's sitting in a lawn chair in front of his house. And he's like, "Wow, you like your house? Why aren't you inside? Why don't you do inside?" "Well, I can't go inside. It's a solid gold house."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It's like complete stupidity. I mean, I know people that are, I've hung around people that have a lot of money, and they're like, "Let's go to Del Taco. They're having a taco special, like 3 tacos for $1." It's like, man, you can buy and sell this place. What the fuck's your problem? But there's a mentality there.
Yeah.
There's a mentality to sustain that, and it's just not me. I don't have that mentality. I think if I have something, and a friend of mine was in need, I've had people sleeping in my couches many a time, and people, "Hey, that's just how I am." Because that's kind of how I would like to be treated. So I guess it's also a little bit selfish, but it's like how I would have treated. But if I don't get offered a couch, then I would be disappointed. Yeah. And then that goes.
So, all right. I've got some more questions about Law of the Order here.
All right.
When you were recording that, the songs that ended up on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Point Break, was that recorded all at the same time as Law of the Order?
No, not at all. It was those were recorded while I had a development deal with A&M Records.
Okay.
And I loved A&M Records. I mean, I'm not saying it to try to sound like I'm dropping names and all, but A&M Records was truly the boutique record company in Los Angeles. Okay. It was like completely driven by and existed for the musical artist. I mean, that's what it was for. Even they had like a little campus. They had a campus they bought. They bought the old Charlie Chaplin movie lot.
Oh wow.
That was their office. So you had to go through these gates. It was like a mini Disneyland in the middle of Hollywood.
Wow.
And you have to go through these special gates, with a guard, and you get in and you're inside, and you have all these little bungalows and these little Tudor style buildings. You feel like you're in Disneyland almost inside. It's like, wow. They got a big old sound stage. They got a recording studio. Then they have the administration is on site. Everybody's there, Yeah. So I had what they call a development deal. In other words, they "Yeah, we're interested, but we want to throw you a couple curveballs and see how you react."
Oh, nice.
It was like that, for it was a couple of years. When it wasn't a couple of years, it seems like it was, but it was close to it. And they had sent me around. They had sent me around, back east, to write with this person, and go to London, write with that person,
Oh, wow.
and go to Minneapolis and write with this person, and go, this guy's really good, he wrote with this band, and go. And, you know, at that point, it was already beginning to kind of becoming like a formula. The whole thing was, it was industry-wide. It wasn't just because of A&M, but it was industry-wide. It was a formula. And that formula really kind of exists to this day, but it's even gotten more perverted to this day. But at the time, it was like, you know, the big, huge writers like, you know, Diane Warren was just starting to go in. And Diane Warren wrote like songs for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of the songs, I'm not supposed to say, but some of the songs I imagine were sold out outright, and then a different name put on it, right? So everybody else, you know, could seem like they're such brilliant writers. And she was a really good writer, and she was a very good writer. And she's very, very prolific and very successful, and, you know, a little schmaltzy for my taste. But there was a lot of other writers too. There was other writers that were maybe not as quite as popular as her. Or this. Anyway, so we're writing with all these people, and that's when those songs came to be. From that period of time. And A&M Record had just bought De Laurentiis film, and one of the movies they bought was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and they gave me the rough cut of the movie, you know, with no color correction, no sound, you know, just nothing, and it was just horrible. It was just horrible. And it was just like, I don't want to be involved with this at all. This is just ridiculous. I'm going to make a fool of myself. This is just trash.
Oh, God.
But, you know, okay, I'm there, and I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds. You know, so this is a song about these two guys, and they have a sound. They have a time machine, and it looks like a phone book, and they go around in this time machine, you know, and we need a song for it. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm just like, my eyes are just rolling inside, and I'm going, oh, this is it, man. I think back on the Laundromat tour, and I go, that was way more bitching than this. But anyway, so I, you know, got a song. Hell, I got a song. So you got two guys cruising around in a time machine. Looks like a phone booth. You know.
Yep.
Sounds ridiculous even now. And it's called Father Time. Father Time.
Yep.
Father Time. They go Father Time. I don't know. I go, what do you mean you don't know? I mean, what a stupid answer. Of course. I mean, you don't even have to hear the song.
Yeah, makes sense.
You hear a song about two kids cruising around in a time machine like a phone book, and you call it Father Time. It's brilliant. What do you mean? Yeah, just it's unbelievable. But that kind of stuff used to happen all the time. It's like, well, you got wooden ears? Are you that afraid? You haven't even heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that type of shit.
Oh, God.
I'm not kidding.
So they just didn't like it based on the name.
But I don't know why. God. No, they didn't like it because I had the song already. So it might have been, I don't know what the reason was. They were way too full of their own hubris to admit it. You know, it might have been because they didn't think of it, or maybe because I didn't. They feel like it wasn't written specifically for their request. Could be a number of reasons. You can never know the right answer. You could speculate all day long. But anyway, after a bunch of pushing and shoving, finally got it through. But that's when those songs came, and then you know, and then there was another story after that with. We're doing another Keanu Reeves movie, that Point Break, and Keanu Reeves is kind of an oddity to himself anyway, even today.
He really is.
I mean, he's he's an oddity, but he's a really good guy though. But
Yeah.
he's just a little odd, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You know, I think it's just, I don't know what the reason is, but he's just odd. There's nothing bad about that. I mean,
No.
some people think I'm odd. So, but anyway, so he did another movie, and we did that, and then we did another, and then oh gosh, and that brings us to this other thing. That brings us to that one that you want to talk about. I know, and that's Contraband.
We could go into that in
Crap!
a
I
minute.
just walked right into it. I walked right into it.
You did, but
I did.
We'll delay it for a minute
Okay, all right.
Because I wanted to find out.
So there we go. So that's for that guy.
I also wanted to know a little bit more about how did things change the way you recorded between School Bus and Law of the Order? Because School Bus, that was another independent release, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, did you have more constraints on you as far as Law of the Order, or did you have a lot of freedom to record what you wanted to for that session?
No, you don't have much freedom, anywhere. At least that's my experience.
Okay.
And that may be why I don't have a solid gold house. That might be the reason. Maybe I was supposed to be more of an ass, but truthfully, I thought I was plenty of an ass. And on a lot of my career, wanting my way, wanting something the certain way. But I was like, damn it, I paid my dues. I wore the same clothes 4 days in a row, without washing them. I deserve to have a say here, right?
Right.
But, you never know how far to push it because you just don't know. You just, well, you know what? This isn't working out. See you later. And it'd be like, oh, wait, what? Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to, there's a give and take, and sometimes you just have to straight up capitulate, and it doesn't always work out the worst. It's not always a bad story. For instance, we were recording, Law of the Order, and we were, what song was it? I don't remember what song it was. It doesn't matter. But there was a part in the song. It was like a pre-chorus part. Okay, pre-chorus. And I was repeating it every time, the same line. For the first chorus and the second chorus, third, I was repeating the same exact line. And I thought the line was brilliant. I wish I knew what it was right now. It really doesn't matter, though. But the producer was going, I really like that part a lot. But how about if for the second chorus, you can use the same melody, but just change the words, just for the second one and then for the third one. And I'm
that's
like,
it, huh?
Yeah, and I'm like looking at him going, what the beep do you know how? That is the most brilliant line in what's one of the best lines in the song, and I'm not gonna be able to top it.
Yeah.
I mean, so it would have to be a song. It would have to be a line that's as good as that one, right?
Yeah.
But different, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what he's asking me, and I already thought I already had, boy, okay, I'm at my apex here. I'm hot. That's badass. We've been developing this for a couple of years already. I know what I'm doing. He goes, yeah, well, that's cool. Well, we're going to go out to dinner now, and we'll leave you here at the control board, and you work on that. And I'm like, well, but see you later. And everybody left. And I'm there alone, pissed off, fuming, bitter, just like, how dare you, that son of a bitch, that pompous ass, just going, just like muttering to myself. But I knew I'm not going to get out of this.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to have to come up with something. So I sat there and just worked the thing. And all of a sudden, something came to mind. And lo and behold, it was great. And I said, this is just as good as the first one, except different. This is exactly what he wanted. And
nice.
And I did it. And because of that, I was able to jump beyond myself.
Wow.
So something that appeared to be there was going to be just a capitulation because, you got your boot on my neck and you're not going to let me go until I comply.
Yeah.
Or, right?
Yep.
So, and something great came of it. So there's those kind of things happen as well. So it's not always bad, but you have to really kind of check your own self. You got to check your own ego. You got to make sure you're not being delusional.
Right.
You got to see if you're realistic. You see it. You got to you got to play the whole thing out. And you have to, sometimes you just got to play ball. Somebody's just got to play ball and see where it's going to go. But so that was a time. But there's capitulation. I mean, there was capitulation with not capitulation, but there was when they were putting the album together, as far as the song order and the songs in general for like Law of the Order. We were in a big huge conference room, much like you see on all the TV dramas, big, huge oak oval table with pretty chairs all the way around with water beakers and, and guys dressed in suits and, stuffy and, oh my God.
Yeah.
And they're going, well, okay, well, so we're thinking, I don't know if this song Paris Calling, I don't think, I don't hear it on this album.
Wow.
I don't think exactly. And you can imagine me, I'm just going, even at that point, I knew that this was a good song because this is a good song.
Yes.
Far away in a foreign land, a memory takes its stand. Hard to take for a man like me, hard for you to see. You believe what you want to believe. I must go where my soul wants to lead. I'm entranced by the land of romance, and I know that's still waiting. When I feel my love burning deep inside my heart, I hear Paris calling every time.
This is a good song. And they were like, I don't know. And I'm going, oh my God. Oh my God.
Man.
Now, how am I going to deal with this? And, this is obviously not the first time that I had to deal with it. So you get a little bit better and better at it. The first time you really want to go to blows. I mean, come on, we're going to we're going to get down right now.
Yeah.
And then the next time you do it, you use a lot of expletives, and then by that time you don't even want to show your hand. You just look at him, deadpan and say, I'm going to bluff my way out of this one.
Yeah.
So, but inside you're just seething, right?
I can't imagine the album without that song in it. That would.
I know.
Oh my
I know. Isn't that
God.
stupid?
That's unbelievable.
Stupid.
That came out in '89. And
wow.
I guess you guys were touring up until the time Contraband came out, because there's a 2-year gap between Law of the Order and then when Contraband comes out. What was the band going? What was going on with Shark Island at that time? Was there a lot of tours, a lot of live shows, or?
Well, we were always playing. The only time we cut down playing was when I was on the development deal with A&M for about, it was like 2 years or something, like a year and a half. That's the only time we stopped playing because I was physically not around.
Right.
Right. But the rest of the time we really, we were playing to make money. Okay. At that point, once we got a deal, then we got an advance, and then we had money, so we didn't have to play to pay the rent. But, it's all kind of mixed up. I don't know. I mean, Contraband was after Law of the Order, right?
Yeah. That came out in 91. Yeah. So
yeah, that was after. So we had to, what happened was that right around that time, there was a big change in music, and there was like almost an audible click that happened.
Right.
And it was called grunge.
Yep.
And I being in the industry, I could see it coming because I could notice people's attitudes were, especially at A&M, they were already flying people up to Seattle every weekend to check out Soundgarden, to check out the Love Bone and Temple of the Dog, all those guys. And so right towards the end there, as soon as the audible click came when, believe it or not, when Pearl Jam came out with their album, it wasn't, you'd think it was Nirvana, but in actuality it was Pearl Jam. That's as far as industry went.
That makes sense though, because Nirvana comes out and it takes more than just one band to do, like you're saying, an actual huge shift like that.
Right. And there was they had a lot of bands going, but Pearl Jam had enough of the components that were able to, even pull people away from, hard rock. And in a sense, it really wasn't that. I'll probably get a lot of people emailing me, what the hell are you talking about? It wasn't that big of a difference. It wasn't that big of a difference. I mean, it was a difference between wearing, maybe some leather pants or two perfectly ripped jeans, I mean, and a Pendleton and a beanie,
some flannel,
and then acting like a disassociated artist, on heroin, So, but I was doing all that anyway. You should have saw me at Soundcheck. I was a mess. I didn't. I mean, until stage time, I took my outfits totally serious. But man, during the day, I was just, I usually just gotten up.
Yeah.
And my hair still smelled like cigarettes. I'm like, sheesh. Go to AM PM and get a hot dog for breakfast. I was just like, wow. So I got a hangover. Give me an Egg McMuffin. Yeah. I got a hangover. So, I mean, so we were there, or we could have been there already, but at that point we were with Epic, and we had lost our A&R person, which is the person that kind of champions you within the label. So if an A&R person signs you, it's his gig, it's his collar. So he usually he operates within the company to get things happening for you. Okay. Whether it's a video or a new recording or outfits or record covers or interviews or anything like that. He's the guy that does it, or girl. It was the guy. And anyway, he left. He got another job in New York. Oh. So he left Epic LA, and we didn't have an A&R person. So yes, we got somebody assigned to us, but see, being assigned is different than choosing.
Yeah.
You could get the person that was assigned us may not have liked us.
Right.
Maybe he likes that other band that he's been trying to sign for the past 9 months. Yeah. Why are you giving me these guys? I don't even know their music. I don't know them enough. But I mean, I think personally we could have made the transition into grunge with a couple of adjustments. Not that I'm into these big labels and stuff, because they're just labels, hard rock, heavy metal, hair metal, grunge, glam rock, all these names. It's just like, wow, there's too many names here. You know what I mean? They don't have that many slots. They don't have that many slots at Music Plus. Where's we're gonna put it? What the hell? What are you gonna do?
So whose idea was Contraband? How did that thing all come together? Because that was you, Cher Pedersen from Vixen, Bobby Blotzer from Rat, Tracy Guns from LA Guns, and Michael Schenker from Scorpions.
Yee-hoo! See, I told you I was hanging with the badass guitar players, man. Badass guitar players. So that was God, it was the beginning of the end. Actually, at the time, it seemed like everything seemed promising. Yeah. But we had a manager. We signed a contract with a manager, and he shall remain unnamed.
Okay.
And he was managing all of these bands, the respective bands that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So that's his roster. So he come up with an idea, which it doesn't seem to be on first blush. It doesn't seem to be a horrible idea. But the flower failed to bloom, really.
Yeah.
And what happened, he said, was what I'm going to do. He was already having to deal with this grunge thing happening. And all of a sudden he has a pack of hard rock guys and girls,
Yeah.
He's got LA Guns, and he's got, the Riff Machine, Michael Schenker, and he's got Rat. And what are we going to do with them?
Yeah.
And Rat was like, they were circling the drain at the time. Just a great band, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So was LA Guns, by the way. We're talking live. When I say a good band, I judge it not on the album as much as I judge it live. That's when it really makes a difference.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they were a good band, but it was just like it was all yesterday's news.
Yeah.
And for that matter, we were kind of yesterday's news. They were already, I can see the writing on the wall that there's not going to be too much of this. Yeah. No, right now we're going to need to go with the grunge thing. We're going to have to go there. That's good. That's where it's at.
So the money's at.
And, so he thought, okay, well, here's what he's going to do. He's going to make an all-star band.
Okay.
So he concocted this band. He took all the players from his roster and put this band together, and he got all the great writers of the time, the writers du jour, right? To write most of the songs, and we'll even get a movie soundtrack with it, and we'll make a real big package, and we're going to make an album, and this album is going to be so big that it's going to launch your respective careers. Okay. And that's the plan.
That's the plan.
Now you listen to it right now and you go, yeah, it's a plan. Good plan. Not bad. Let's make some lemonade here. Right. Yeah. So it started off very good. We were recording, but keep in mind that we never, even to this day, Contraband has never played on the same stage at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Ever.
Oh my God.
The closest we came to it was Cher being replaced by that cat from Rat, bass player.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can't remember his name. It's like
I can't remember his
name. Cavassier or something like. It sounds like a brandy or something.
Sounds delicious.
I can't remember his name. Yeah, sounds delicious to me. Anyway, so for some reason there was an issue between Rat and having Cher be on the same tour.
Oh gosh.
Being on the bus, because they liked their ladies and they liked to do all kinds of unmentionable things on the bus, and then to have a woman there that they're not boinking, I was going to get in the way. Yep. So that was kind of the stupid. It was stupid. I thought it was like, but that's the closest we came actually to play. And the very first time we actually played together at the same time was at a live show with 5,000 people.
Oh my gosh.
No rehearsal.
No. Oh my gosh.
Nothing.
Gee, I can't imagine that. Very, very well.
It was horrible. And, the days leading up to it, I was kind of, I realized that there was one very interesting aspect to it that you may not have caught on. And that is this. So you had the headliners of this tour was Contraband. Right. Okay. The supporting acts were LA Guns and Rat. So we were headlining. We were headlining over Rat and LA Guns. Wow. Okay, two super bands, by the way. Right. Hot live. badass, like a Swiss watch. You may not like their music or whatever, but
I love Rat.
That they were good, you know, and they had a lot of really great things about them. So they were the openers. So the headliners was this band called Contraband,
without an album out yet.
and I thought, well, we were promoting the album.
Okay, so the album had come out.
I think it might have been, or it was just in the process of it, because that's how they usually do it. They usually make the album available like a couple days before you show up to town, you know.
Okay.
And you make a deal with the radio station to promote it, and you know, and they go, WKR is promoting Contraband.
Yeah.
At the Swinston Auditorium this weekend. If you call right now, you get an autographed guitar and a new album from Contraband. Right?
Right.
And you get to take a cab ride with Michael Schenker while he practices his guitar.
Oh,
right?
Boy.
You know, I mean, whatever. You
Yeah.
know, whatever. That's just that whole 80s stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So I realized that there's really no incentive for anyone in Rat, which we had 2 members now in the band in Contraband, or Tracy Guns, to give a horse's ass about Contraband.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it would be in their best interest to just blow the headliners away.
Yeah. I think,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. We're going to blow these sons of bitches away. How dare they go ahead of us anyway? We're Rat. We've been around forever.
Exactly.
You know? And we're going to blow their doors off. And I don't have any recourse. I'm not opening a show. This is it. I am fronting the headliner over Rat and LA Guns. They had no interest in rehearsing at all. And I'm trying to get that through the manager's head. I'm going, hey, we haven't practiced at all yet. Oh, well, they're just back. What that basically we could have been practicing right now. We got a show in like 3 days, you know, and we haven't practiced at all yet. I don't even know. And they kept promising, and it never happened. Practice never happened. And the song, I remember the first time we got on stage, they started the song, and I tell you, I honestly, I couldn't even recognize what song it was.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what is this?
Oh, geez.
What are they playing? What are they playing?
Oh my God.
And you know me, I'm the guy that wants to know everything that's going to happen. You know, I want to know everything.
Exactly.
So,
in control.
So that was pretty much it. So when people talk about Contraband, you know, you can talk about the album, and you may like the album, and you may like the players in the band, and you may like the optics of it all. But for me, Contraband really was quite the black eye in my career. So, I mean, Shark Island never really hit full stride after that, because once that was done, the record label was already gone, because my manager negotiated us out of it. So we were with his own EMI label, and we were the manager. So in one fell swoop, I had no label, no manager.
Wow.
I was just a garage band again.
Oh my
Back
God.
to zero, doing something, making widgets that nobody's interested anymore in.
Yeah.
Right. So so we're like, what am I going to do now? Am I going to get some of those holy jeans and try to find a record deal what am I going to do at that point? And it was horrible. At that point, I had like a nervous breakdown and just completely just walked away from music for better part of a year, about 9 months. Didn't do anything.
Oh, wow.
Just stayed around, laid low, and just went, fuck this. So for me, it wasn't a good thing at all.
You walked away for you. What happened after that? Because the next thing that I've found that was released with you as part of it was a Jack Ponte album in like 2003. It's a track called Desire.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's oh gosh, it's just called Jack Ponte, like Volume 1 or something. It's a track.
Well, you know what? I know Jack Ponte. I stayed at his house. He was one of those writers I wrote with while I was with the A&M thing, right? Jack Ponte was from the Bon Jovi crew.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And he used to actually play, behind the curtain keyboards for Bon Jovi, right? And write songs with them and all that stuff. He was all that Tom's River, New Jersey thing,
Yep.
What are those places called?
Sayreville. Oh, yeah, I used to live around there.
Sayreville and all those. There's an Ashbury. Is Ashbury? Is that place?
Asbury.
Is that a city there?
Asbury Park.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So that whole area. So Jack Ponte and Bon Jovi's crew, and as a matter of fact, the demo we did with Jack Ponte, the band was Skid Row. Skid Row was my back band.
Oh wow!
So they played the music, and we did our demo. So it's good because they only sent me back east, and I needed a band. So Jack Ponte was tight with Skid Row. So Skid Row was also part of the Bon Jovi crew.
Oh, cool.
And as a matter of fact, they wanted me to be their singer.
Oh, really?
At the time. Yeah. I was supposed to be the singer. I was offered the position as in the Skid Row. Oh, and also I was offered a position in Atomic Playboys with Steve Stevens as well. And I turned them both. Yeah, I turned them both down. And I loved the guys in Skid Row. Those guys, I hadn't laughed that hard in years. They had the greatest sense of humor. They were really, really good. That whole East Coast vibe, it's quite different than the West Coast vibe. I mean, literally busting up till like my eyes were watering. I couldn't even catch my breath. These guys were so damn funny. And anyway, they did our my demo. So that's probably Jack put that together. I've never seen that though or heard of it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's I've got it pulled up here. It's 12 tracks. It's got, coincidentally enough, Sebastian Bach is track number 1. It's got the Nelson brothers, Matt and Gunnar, Kelly Keeling, Glenn Burtnick, you doing a song called Desire, Eric Gales.
Oh, funny. That's funny. I'd love to see that.
The Nelson brothers with Snake Sabo on it, on a song called Don't Turn Away. It's that's probably what I never heard of that. So that's probably where that came from. Okay.
That's what was Jack Ponte. So I had that, and then I had and then another song that came out of my writing campaign was actually Paris Calling came out of that as well. It came out with a guy named Mark Radice from Aerosmith, from the Aerosmith camp.
Oh, cool.
And he was actually one of the first, if not the first, like the second or third person I met. And he was living out in the middle of nowhere in the sticks in Philadelphia. And what is that forest called there? Not forest. It's a place that people go for honeymoons and stuff.
In Jersey or out by Pennsylvania?
I think it's in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
It may come to me.
I'm not sure. In Jersey, they have that Pine Barrens.
No, it wasn't that. It may come to me later, but it doesn't matter. It was one of those really exotic, dark place, middle of sticks. And here I.
Like the Poconos?
That's it. It's the Poconos. Exactly. Lived in the middle there, and I'm just going, wow. And I'm an LA guy. My whole vibe is completely different. It's like, where's the beach? Yeah. And I'm out here in the forest, and going, what the hell? And he was Mark Radice was he was like a mad scientist, just a weird, dark, mad scientist, just a genius.
Oh wow!
And we spent quite a bit of time together. We went out to another place back there, if I can remember. Gosh, this is really fun to think of all these old stories. Is there a place called Manahawkin?
There's
like an island on the coast of New Jersey.
Oh, Montauk.
Manahawk. No, Manahawkin. It was like Manahawkin. Manahawkin.
There's so many that sound. There's Weehawken. There's Manasquan. There could be.
Okay, well, one of those places.
Manahawkin.
So we were out there. It was off season. It was like in the middle of the winter. So the whole kind of vibe was, everything was boarded up. You know, there was no tourists. It was dark. It was windy. It was, it rained, and it's cold. And he rented a house. He rented a whole house there, and we just sat. We kicked back in that house. We just wrote and just. It was a really cool time.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a very weird time to be that. I want to say the word intimate, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea. But we were like really tight for two guys that really didn't know each other, right?
Yeah.
But we were a lot alike, and we had the same kind of emotions and feelings about things, and we were able to just talk like old soulmates, your old best friend. And it was just, I had just met him like, maybe 4 days before that, when we were in Poconos. And then we wrote some songs, and then we went up to New York and recorded the demos. And so that's how Paris Calling came to be.
And then they wanted to keep it off the album.
And they wanted to keep it, yeah.
Assholes.
Right. Well, yeah, well. Well, again, so that it was generated by A&M's efforts, and then the label that I had was Epic. So who knows? Maybe it was the same thing that happened with Father Time. Well, we didn't think about it, so it's not that good of an idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. You never know. It's like high school. So gosh.
So you walk away for a year, 91 or so. The next Shark Island album doesn't come out until 2006. So what are you? Right. And that's Gathering the Faithful. So what is going on with you between 92, let's say, and recording Gathering the Faithful?
Well, I became a metal artist, metal sculptor.
How did you get into that?
Well, all my life, I was like really into like cars and doing restorations.
Oh, I love that.
Doing mechanical things, and I just really liked it. It was really always fun to do. So there was always some kind of project going on in my life.
That's awesome.
In that thing. So after that, I mean, I didn't want to be a mechanic, because I certainly did not want to work on someone else's car. I'd work on mine, but
right.
I could work on someone else's car. But
exactly.
So I started making these pieces, these sculptures, these sculptures, and it was wow, it was kind of neat, and people showed a great interest, and I was doing shows with them. I would go to festivals and shows and have this stuff for sale, and I was just happy as can be doing that. It was just like no music. There was everything was on my own time. No pressure.
Awesome.
And I did that for many years. I have stuff all over. I have stuff all over the world.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, just pieces like these. They call them pieces or elements or installations. And so I did that for a long time. And then this an old friend of mine, who was he was like independently wealthy, and he wanted to start a record company.
Do you want to start a podcast network?
Yeah, something like that.
Because I can be bought at this point.
Right. Everybody can be bought, Mark. Don't kid yourself. Especially the ones that say they can't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I'll at least be upfront about it.
Right. We're not going to lie. Let's just not lie.
No.
Everybody's selfish and self-centered.
That's just wastes time.
Right.
All right.
So he said, "Gosh, I really want to let's do a record. I want to see how this works, And he goes, and I want to have a label that's much like the A&M format, a real boutique album,
okay,
artist leaning, and creative and this and that. And I want to do it. Let's do it. Let's build the whole thing." And so I said, okay. Well, I go, if you can get, Spencer to come. Spencer had already moved to Germany, so he was expated to Germany, and so he had to come there. And then Chris was living in England, so Chris left to England.
Oh wow!
Spencer left to Germany. They still live there, and
man,
you know what? Here, I'm going to try to do something here because I noticed I have 17% on my phone. I'm going to try to plug in an adapter real quick, okay?
Sure.
So hold on one sec. Okay, check one. Are you there now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's working.
All right.
I did it. Awesome. Okay. So, well, I had to get a splitter. It's a splitter that splits into a charger plus the earbuds.
Oh.
So it doesn't always work because it's kind of wonky, but it's working, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So
must be an iPhone.
So anyway, so I said, yeah, it's an iPhone. So I said, if you get Spencer to do it, let's do it. So we had a bunch of songs that we had written. Some of them we were almost done. Some of them were done because we wrote a lot. We wrote 100 songs, 150.
Wow. And
so we put it together like from the ground up with a real beautiful record cover and a really nice list of songs, and we weren't worried about hitting a quota with a certain number of upbeat songs and we were just, it was like songs that we kind of felt bad that we never did justice to. We want to we just want to put it out there for posterity. Posterity. That was a Freudian slip.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, our life is just an open flame, taking all our time. Dark to light, wrong to right, open mind, turning the will to power. Dark to light, wrong to right, open mind, turning the will to power.
So we did it, and we put that together. It was just awesome. It was very nice. There was some moments in there that were just wonderful. We recorded it at A&M Radio, at AM Studios.
Oh, cool.
Which it was no longer A&M because Hanson bought it. The guy that used to do the puppets.
Oh, wow.
That guy. Yeah, he bought the building.
I thought you said Hanson, not Henson.
No. So anyway, so it was, but there we were again in full circle. Okay, the company wasn't, the people weren't there, but Disneyland was still there. We're still here. Wow. We're still, and they got, their studios were just truly world class. Yeah. And we just recorded it there. And so that's how that came out. So that sold really good. I mean, people really loved it, and they really were, because it was just kind of a continuation. It was like almost going into a time machine.
Exactly.
And then hearing some of these people hadn't heard these songs in years and years, and all of a sudden they're hearing. And that's really important in music, is the memory that you have when you were first exposed to the music.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest challenges you have. Anyone that's writing that has been part of an old realm, so to speak, to come out with something new, because you're all of a sudden trying to reach people, and you hope that you can reach the people that liked you before, but if they can't quite relate to it for any number of reasons, like, I mean, they may like, why should I believe? Because that's when I was with Kathy, and we were really in love, and I remember we went to Yosemite and we camped there and had sex twice a day, and everything was beautiful, and I remember that. But you can't compete with that. You come up with a new song, and now they're all old, and they're going, my kids suck.
Yeah.
nothing great. Yeah. So you have to you're fighting with a memory. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. And then right now you certainly I'm not gonna get anywhere on my looks anymore. You can't I can't put more hairspray in my hair.
Yeah.
I'm just like. Thank God I didn't get fat or anything, but
right.
But still, I'm not. You can't use that. You can't use, hey, I'm a hot guy.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
You really nailed it, though, because like the track "Blue Skies," the opener. I love that chorus is just, that brings me right back to working on my old truck, listening to Shark Island while I'm working on it.
Now that all of your skies are turning blue, can you face the illusion? Now that all of your dreams are coming true, can you beat the
there you go.
I absolutely, that was a brilliant opener. I loved it. And it just brought me right back to that time when I first discovered you guys.
Right. So how can you compete with that right now with a new song? I can't compete with your truck, Mark.
No, but that song Blue Skies brought me back to that truck. It made me feel like I was back
I dig
there.
it, but I'm talking now.
Oh no,
for me to
God,
do something now though. What am I going to do? I mean, how am I going to reach Mark now? But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, I mean, it happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but when you're in an environment and in a situation where you have constant exposure and you have a following, a cult following, you have a local island following that knows your every move and follows you to the end of the earth and hangs out and loves you and you love them. It's just like, those are great times. Those are great things. Hard to compete with.
Yeah. Now, did you guys support that album with any live shows, or was that just a release?
We did a couple. Only thing we did with that, we did some acoustic fundraisers, a series of acoustic fundraisers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then there was another gap between Gathering of the Faithful and the new album Bloodline with a one kind of live, very limited edition live release, live in Zagreb.
Yeah.
Live
in Zagreb. That's actually what started that album. What was so important about it is right before I did that album, I was totally complete with music. I couldn't care less if I ever did anything again.
Wow.
Just it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. I wasn't sad about it. It just didn't matter.
Right. Okay.
And I have this little pad out in Croatia on the coast.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
And it sounds cool. It sounds like I'm puffing. I'm not. I'm not trying to be a puff guy. I mean, I just got the plumbing in. I got the bathroom happening. I got a toilet and a sink and a shower, and I got the plumbing to the wall for the kitchen. You know what I mean? And the house is about, I would say it's 300 years old.
Wow.
The walls are solid rock. They're 3 foot thick walls.
Oh my
anyway,
gosh.
But it's fine for, you wouldn't want to bring a new date there, but certainly you can bring your wife or your best friend there and hang out.
Yeah.
And walk to the beach. So I was there, and that was just fine with me. I'm like, it's like a little fishing village, and population 1,000 or something.
Okay.
And then this guy that I knew in LA, who was a Croatian national, he moved back to Zagreb.
Oh,
pretty good guitar player too. Really, actually is a real good guitar player. So we just don't seem to get along, but he's a really good guitar player.
Okay.
But he comes, I went up to the city, which is from my place. It was like, it's like an hour and a half, 40-minute drive to just to hit the city.
Oh, wow.
Go. And he's all looking, he says, hey, why don't you do anything with music anymore? I'm like, yeah, come on. What the fuck do you know? He had no idea. I go, because I don't want to, because I got a brain. That's why. So, because I grew up. So anyway, he goes, well, look, there's a great weekend coming up here in Zagreb. I go, what is it? He goes, well, it's Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead. When is that? He goes, oh, it's the end of October. I go, oh, like Halloween. He goes, yeah. But for us, we do it. It's like a 3-day affair.
Oh, wow.
It's like 3 days. The entire city all but shuts down. They got one of the biggest graveyard.
Okay.
In Europe there. Huge.
Oh,
it's like a city. It's like a city.
Gosh.
Yeah, and the buildings, some of the graves are like little houses. You know what I mean? It's really super nice. And then every day, every weekend of the Day of the Dead, everything shuts down. All the public transportation, the trams, and the metros, everything's free. Buses, everything's free. And everybody goes up to the graveyard to pay their respects to all the people that died. Okay. And there's a lot of people that died, from the wars and stuff they had. And I don't know if you have the album or not, but if you look on the back of the cover, you can see they light these little red candles, at all the grave sites. So people bring a bunch of those. But they also set them out on the big grand walkways. And we're talking hundreds of thousands. I mean, maybe.
Wow.
It could be a million.
Oh my
candles.
God.
Yeah, like it's just jaw dropping. Like, oh my God, where am I? This is like amazing. So you imagine the candles are almost touching each other, and they go for hundreds of yards, and they're like thick, wide as the whole walkway, which is about 30 feet, solid. So it's just
Jeez.
solid like an ocean of these candles. Anyway, so I'm saying it together and tell you what a big weekend this is there.
Yeah.
And he says, I got a really good band together. We know all your songs.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'll make a point to put a whole set together of songs, mostly like Law of the Order, and we can get a gig with my connections at this club called the Industrial Club, big old awesome club called the Industrial Club. You can just imagine what it looks like. It looks like a Giger painting,
right.
From the Alien,
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, all right, well. I'll see. I just didn't take them too seriously because everybody says that.
Yeah.
Everybody says, everyone's sack is the heaviest and everyone has the best dentist. That's what I would say. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. So anyway, so I came over one time to, a week or so, a couple of days later, and we're in this studio in the basement of this house. It's an underground bar.
Ooh.
That was set up during communism.
Oh, wow.
So it was a secret bar, and it was under a house in the middle of this, these old houses, like these old, what do they call them? I can't remember, but these old but stone houses on like a main street. And you go into this house and you go down the basement, and then you're at this bar. It's called Cradle of Rock, and has posters on the wall of Billy D. Williams and this other, and a big old full bar, all kinds of alcohol, a little tiny stage, chairs, smoke, so thick you can just cut it. And then below that is a recording studio with a really nice equipment in it. It was like really nice. In fact, we did all the basics of Bloodline in that studio.
Oh, wow.
But they had a rehearsal space, and then they said, well, let's do this here. Here's the song list. And I go, let's go. And they laid it down, and man, I was going, wow, this is good. I couldn't deny it. I was just going, I was almost going, fuck,
yeah,
this is good. How am I going to get out of this now? So I thought, well, okay. I go, I'm here. It's Halloween. It's going to be a big thing. Let's do it. So I did it. We rehearsed a couple days. They already had it down. I knew the shit.
Yeah.
And so we get there, and I dressed up as Andy Warhol with his big white wig on and his white shirt and a tie, and we laid down an incredible show, and we recorded it multi-track. And it came out so good. I said, we're going to make an album out of this. They said, really? I said, yeah. So we put it on an orange vinyl, and made it kind of a Halloween vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the beginning of it.
Nothing here for me to stay. Dirty work for honest pay. Gonna leave it all behind this time. Let it die. Why should I believe what they say? Why should I be molded to their way? Made myself.
So now that was there, he said, "Well, you want another gig? We can get as many gigs as we want around here, and this and that, and then, right." And next thing we know, we're in England doing shows there. We did this big old festival there, and I'm just going, God, this is like. It's going out of control.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference is that I didn't have to do much babysitting, and I didn't have to, it was just, for the most part, I didn't have to, it wasn't very much work for me. I mean, the only work was just to travel, and finding a toilet in time. Those are like the big things that you had to work. Had to make sure you had access to. But Manifest Records, the ones who did Gathering of the Faithful, again said, "Well, why don't we just do a new album? We'll do new songs, this and that. we started working on it, and we did Monsters of Rock, a couple concerts to get some things ironed out.
Yeah.
And we put it together. I mean, it wasn't as crazy as Gathering was, because there wasn't a bar to reach. It was just kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing now. When there's nothing really to live up to but your own reputation. So that's how that happened. So that brings us up to Bloodline.
So are all the songs on Bloodline brand new, or any of them older songs that you redid?
There's a couple. I think there's 3. I think it might be 3 songs. Okay. Well, there's that one, Make a Move, right? That we never recorded. That was on the live one. Was that one?
Yes.
And then there's a couple more on there, but the rest of them are all new. And then we did a cover song. We did Policy of Truth.
Yeah, Depeche Mode. Yeah, that was surprising. That's so good.
Listening to advice and deciding in your youth on the policy of truth. Things could be so different now. It used to be so civilized. Will you always wonder how it would have been if you only lied?
It's different. I liked it because it was what I really wanted to do with the album. I wanted it to have a thematic quality to it, like the other ones do too. They really do. If you really look at it, all the songs have a theme. Law of the Order, Day of the Dead, Gathering of the Faithful. The Gathering of the Faithful is the guys getting back together again. Here we are back together again. And then Law of the Order is just our reality, our law, and this is who we are. It's just, and of course the Halloween one. The Halloween one is very obvious. Yeah. But I wanted to kind of have a thematic house. A lot of the record was, I've always been into these big kind of world events, and what we're experiencing now, for instance, is almost prophesized in the album. Thinking if you listen to the album and listen to the words and then think that it was done before pre-COVID, that's really kind of remarkable, of all the kind of things that really show up. Because I speak to a lot of things, and I get involved in a lot of things, and people like to call them conspiracy theories, because that kind of takes the air out of anything. If you call something a conspiracy theory, you kind of invalidate it, even though it's the truth, but I think it's just a psyop. But I've always been into them, and I know that there's a lot of, really bad stuff going on in the world that normal people can't really even imagine what's going on. But there's some really evil stuff, because I am of the belief, and I say this to all my friends, I believe that humans are inherently evil. And I know it sounds shocking to hear that, but I truly believe that. Yeah. And it's in myself included. And what you do with that in your life is who you become and what your character is. So you have a choice. I'm going to get I'm getting a little philosophical here, but I'll keep it very short.
Sure.
But what you do is, the way that you manage that reality about being an evil being is you either have to be take on God and believe in God, or you have to believe in a government or somebody else, or you have to be a complete outlaw and just, kill the person that looks at you wrong, or take anything that you believe you're deserved of. You know what I mean? So you have these different ways and these different mechanisms that kind of they manage you, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And no one's ever perfect. Everybody's done stuff. Heaven knows I've done things that I should probably never be forgiven for, but that's beside the point. I mean, we all have done screwed up things, and if we haven't yet, then our opportunity hasn't come up for it yet, because I believe that everybody has a price, and if somebody says they don't, they're probably the most guilty. So so it's true. This is all true. And a lot of that is reflected in Bloodline, in the whole thing. In fact, but the only song that isn't is post-COVID is the last song that's on Bloodline. See, there's actually, God, it's kind of complicated. Bloodline's actually also, it's a Manifest Music release. Okay, so it was released only to our cult following.
Okay.
Right. So we made 1,000 copies, and we just said, let's just make 1,000 copies and just sell these out to all the people that really want to see them. And we made them, and they were gone.
Oh,
and all of a sudden they were gone. So we went, oh crap. But we also realized that, since there was no real stores involved, it was all mail order, Yeah. So we realized that we want to make more, but I'll be damned if I want to go to the post office anymore and mail things off. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, and then you're also selling merchandise too,
Yeah.
Because we all know in the music business that the CD is only the soundtrack and the jingle for the T-shirt you want to sell, right? That's essentially the truth.
Wow.
That's the truth. So anyway, you're selling all kinds you're selling hats, and we sold flasks and shot glasses and shirts and welding caps. We sold welding caps.
Oh, wow.
All kinds of stuff. So we selling it. But anyway, make a long story short, Deco Records said, hey, we want to do a distribution deal with you, and we'll take care of everything. We'll take care of all the, we'll do the promotion, we'll do the distribution, and we also get into territories that were very difficult, like Japan.
Oh, wow.
Who it's a very, but you got to think, if you're a CD mailed from here to go to Japan costs more than the CD. Yep. So so you need to have a presence on all the continents, Australia and all that. So we worked out a deal with them, but there was a caveat. And the caveat says, well, we'll do the record, but we want it to be a little bit different. We want 2 extra tracks that you don't have on your independent. Okay. So wow. So and Japan wanted yet another one. That was different than that one. So Bloodline came. Bloodline 2.020 is what it's called now. That's the one that you buy now. And then the last song in the track is called Somebody, and that was written just months ago. Was written after COVID. I put that together.
The years have passed, and so have all my dreams. Someday I will be a better man. Someday I'll do more than I think I can.
I said, I don't want to. And the other one we put a producer's track, the producer's cut of Rocks on the Rocks on it too. So that was technically 2 songs different. And I'll just say it. And I told Alex too, I don't like the producer's cut. I rejected that. But he had to capitulate for obvious reasons. But so now he got to live it out and have his version of it too. It's a little bit different. Yeah. But so whatever. Yeah. But anyway, back to the whole thematic thing. So there's a lot of, if you listen to it, you listen to the whole thing, like in situ, you can really see that it is kind of it's almost prophetic, but it's nothing that hasn't been done. There's nothing new under the sun as far as these events that we are living through. There has been sex trafficking for years. That's been going on. There's been babies murdered for years. This is something that's happened since biblical time. It's never went away. People think it went away and people became civilized all of a sudden. That's it. That didn't happen. This stuff still goes on. And then there's the music business, entertainment business per se. It's just it's a cesspool, Mark. It's a cesspool. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I mean, if there was a couple times, if I would have performed fellatio at the right times, I would have been a multi-millionaire right now. If I would have. I mean, there is a casting couch in music. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake.
I don't doubt it.
So
not in the least.
So if you take all that into account, then you can certainly see that yes, humans are inherently evil. Yes, we are. Yeah. And but we do things. You do the right thing. you have a family, you take on the responsibility, you spend time, you make examples, you do the right thing. You don't do anything that you want to do all the time. You do things that are built out of character. Those are things that you do, you know, and that's what we have to do as people on this earth. But unbridled, God, forget it. The shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Especially in times of desperation, when you don't have any money, you can't make the rent, you don't have a car, you just got fired. What do? You get desperate. What are you going to go? You can either go sell your ass, or you're going to go steal something, or you're going to do something.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can find someone's couch to sleep on. But I mean, once it gets really desperate, you never know what the hell you're going to do.
Yeah, you don't know what you're capable of just to survive.
That's right. And that's why I do say we are all inherently evil. We are. Well, and I don't mean that bad. It's just a fact of life.
There is something that's very unusual about this album, and I wanted to ask you about it because I don't really understand it. And I'm hoping you can kind of explain it for me. When it was recorded at 432 hertz.
Right.
Can you explain what that means, what that difference that makes in an album?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. So we have there's a standard of tuning that was adapted, and I believe it's 1936. Because before that, everybody would just kind of, you tune. If Mozart was going to put together something, he's going to say, okay, we're tuning, here's the tune. And he lays out the E or the D, and everybody tunes to it, and it's really good. But it's not, it just happens to be the tuning that his instrument has settled on.
Okay.
It could be anywhere from 436 to 440, 445. It could have been anything. There was a big range of tones.
Okay.
Now, in 1936, they decided to standardize all the tuning, and they decided on 440. A 440 is going to be the tune. That's what we're all going to tune to, and that's a specific tune. The problem with it is, and I don't know if it's something they were aware of, or if it's part of, again, another conspiracy. But 440 is a very, very chaotic tuning.
Oh, really?
And if you ever want to, if you're interested, there's plenty of information on YouTube about it, and you can. I'll just give you quick things so you know kind of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
They do experiments with like pools of water, like big pans of water, and then they introduce a tone, and then to the water, audibly, and then the tone makes the water move, right? Makes little, decorations and stuff. So, okay, when the music is, when you run it at 440 and introduce it to the water, it's complete chaos. The water's jiggling around, peaking, popping, boom. It doesn't make any rhyme or reason. It's completely random, like white noise.
Okay.
But if you move the tuning to our tuning, what is it?
432?
Yeah, 432. If you move the tuning from 440 to 432, all of a sudden, the patterns that the water makes are like snowflake. Beautiful, organized. I mean, just completely like, wow. Just like snowflakes.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of a phenomenon. It's not, oh, yeah, it does, or that's a trick, or not. That's what it does. That's what it does.
Right.
So you can have many people, depending on what your degree of listening to music is, to how deep you listen to it. If you would listen to a piece, let's say a short guitar piece played at 440 or 432, you may notice something warmer about one versus the other. Okay. But some people may not, but just because they don't notice it and are able to put it into like words and go, oh yeah, that sounds right. But it might affect them in a way they don't really realize. Because if you look at it, we've all heard the stories, oh, human body is like 78% water, or, you know what I mean? We've all heard crazy number. Oh, it's 98% water, right, the whole body, and the rest of it is just like an ash from a red oak. So, but, the point is, it was my opinion, it was my feeling that music that I heard that were recorded to 432 was a lot more kind of relaxing. Okay. And it felt as though I was, it brought my the walls down and opened things up for me. And made things a lot more deep and a lot more broad. So I made a point of recording it in that tone. So I mean, if you listen, the thing is that the downside is if you listen to the album right after another album that was recorded at 440, it may sound odd at first.
Okay.
Because if your mind locks into 440, you're already there. You already have your tone. It's already set there. Yeah. And then you hear something else, and it's clearly it's kind of different. And I mean, it only takes a little while to adjust, and then once you're in, you can see the heavenly glory.
Is there a future with Shark Island? Is there going to be more music once things hopefully start to trend back to normal?
Well, if that happens, then I'll have to look at it at that point. But I don't think, my pessimistic attitude, I don't think it's ever going to come back. At least not going to come back in terms that I can understand. Yeah, really. And if I'm young enough to be able to make adjustments and stuff, but I'm certainly not interested in performing in a room with no people, recorded just so that it could be played on a social media somewhere or on some platform. I'm totally not interested in that. Okay. It's just I'm not interested. Yeah. Because it's if I don't have the reaction and the organic feedback from the audience, it's just not fun for me. That's not enjoyable, and I'd rather just do what I do with my animals here and kick back and do my crap here. Yeah. You know, I still have my welder. Maybe I'll do some welding.
I've kept you for quite a while tonight. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people follow the band, pick up the albums if there's any available still?
Well, if you go to sharkislandmusic.com, okay, so it's the name of the band, music.com. If you go there, that's kind of our website. Now, it's not nothing special, but it would be certainly a good launching point to find out where to get a record, to find out how to get a download, to buy merchandise, or to find out anything about the future or anything. It's a good place to start. And so that's probably the easiest one to shamelessly plug right now and just say it's that one.
And you can see those amazing pictures of those candles that you were talking about for the Day of the Dead.
Are they on it? Are they on there?
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. There's two of them. There's two of them, right?
Do you see them on the back? Do they show the back cover?
I can't tell if it's the back cover, but there are two pictures of walkways filled with candles.
That's it. Yeah. Well, the front cover has Andy Warhol on it. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
That's the front cover. So that must be the back cover.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I really do appreciate all the candor and the wonderful stories.
Well, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. It was really fun. It was like, talking to an old friend.
I heard that you settled down, that you found a guy and you're married now. I heard that your dreams came true. Yes, he gave you things, but it lived in you. Oh, friend, why you so shy? Ain't like you to hold back. Oh, hide from the light. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away. I couldn't fight it. I hope you see my face and that you'll be reminded that for